in this house. The most
You are not content with the stories, so I listen to lives come. Be my victim.
Through watching scenes of violence, through watching scenes of transgression, through watching scenes of horror. There's an enormous amount of sort of abattoiral excess.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, Fez, I am going to struggle to shill this episode.
Well, I was going to say flop your angly dangle on the like button.
I was going to say film yourself cutting the like button's wrist with a knife while on film, and have one of your mates just watch you do it in the background as well. That'd be a good way to do it, I think.
Why not get a whole bunch of your mates around and let them all have a go on the like button? Whilst possibly standing behind a couch. I don't know.
High-fiving each other as they're smashing that like button.
Absolutely.
From behind, from the front,
quickly.
Upside down, inside out.
You know, the fact that we can make these jokes kind of makes the point of the film. Like, oh,
yeah.
Oh dear.
We make these jokes because we can.
Exactly.
I learned it from watching you, chat. I learned it from watching you. How are we all tonight, guys? How are we doing?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, we're all right. We're okay. Prep our show. We've had a good Easter holiday.
Yeah, geez.
I like this new interactive chat feature.
Active chat?
Yeah, interactive.
Yeah.
Talk back now.
I'm so lost. Oh,
I'm here all night. I'm here all night, guys.
Oh dear. It's okay. We're gonna warm up. It's been a comfortable Easter break. There's been far too much chocolate eating. That's maybe why my energy is a little off tonight. Also, I am somewhat nervous about covering this film. This was an odd watch, certainly for me. I've seen it twice before, but I had forgotten so much of it.
Yeah,
this was my first time watching it, and I've forgotten quite a bit already.
That is some protective brain work for you.
I know.
Chat, how many of you guys had seen 8mm before? How many of you made it through this? Because I know someone actually, I think it was Mergu messaged me and said he had to turn it off after 30 minutes.
Wow. What?
He didn't even get to the how shall I describe it? Invasive medical scene.
The invasive medical scene.
There's a medical procedure that Nick Cage that's being displayed, and Nick Cage walks in on it, and it's just playing in the footage. It's
God.
Yes, Mergu.
I remember that.
Brain bleach. Do I have to say it? It was the enema scene. Are you happy now, Haryan?
Yeah, I am happy.
I've said enema.
I hope the whole chat Googles that word. Specifically Google images.
With friends like you who needs enemas. This is not going to be the most family friendly of our streams, but we try. If you have wandered in here and you're wondering what the heck we're doing, we are going to talk about a horror topic, and then we're going to talk about a horror film in depth. That is what we do every single week here on Double Feature Horror Show, and this is our 57th show, or 56 if you actually keep up with the deep lore here. But let's Fez, don't Google it. Do not Google.
Just can we drop the family friendly tag for this particular stream? I'm just thinking because some of the stuff that you sort of see on social medias and whatnot. I mean, we might end up on libs of TikTok.
You know, I might have to Okay. I will make a compromise for this episode alone. I will relax the boundary a little bit.
Oh, thank God.
We can say mimsy,
Okay.
but let's not push the boat out too far. The other thing we need to be aware of course, is our benevolent overlord dictator. I'm going to keep describing until I find the image. Who is keeping us in line? Super Nanny does not want us to get too raucous. And she wants us to respect our 10:30 bedtime.
After today's film, I might welcome the spanking. Who knows?
You saucy beggar. You saucy beggar.
Yeah, could be a bit sore on the old naughty step tonight, I tell you. Anyway, let's so we avoid angering Super Nanny. Shall we maybe move on with things and kick off with our horror topic, which was the enigmatically described horror iceberg. I'm wondering if that's rung any bells for people. What I'm talking about is this.
It's an iceberg.
Yeah. Nice. Probably some familiar names in there. What I thought I would do for this topic was save a meme that I saw a while ago that provoked a fair amount of conversation. People were in the sort of Twitter horror community. Not that I'm in there much, I'm going to be honest, guys. Oof.
Too many thoughts.
Too many thoughts, indeed. Spoiling the broth. This was going around kind of like wildfire in horror Twitter, and I had some thoughts about it. And when I thought we were going to cover 8mm, which is a film about a man going into the sort of seedy world of porn and really delving deep. Now that I've said porn, Susan is probably watching with sort of clenched fists.
It's actually just naked yoga. That's allowed on YouTube. So
nice.
There you
go. Even though we're talking about this, don't go into Twitch territory, okay? Stay a respectable distance away from your microphones, guys. Oh God,
I might just eat into my microphone now that you've said that.
Oh,
they just don't care.
I've been watching way too much EFAP on Twitch stuff, and I'm very disturbed. It was up there with 8mm in terms of disturbing stuff. I'm going to tell you guys. Anyway, so this went around. I thought it's an interesting parallel. You've got the world of porn, which has your basic page-free stuff at the, a sort of light intro, and then you get into the more specific interests, shall we say. And the horror community is quite similar. Talking about specific interests, who turns up? Oh, yeah. Did I just summon you, Starman? Shocking. Anyway, welcome to the stream, Scrub. How you doing, mate? This prompted a lot of conversation. I kind of thought it was interesting in terms of the parallel with 8mm and also the idea of like horror elitism. Have you guys seen this?
Yeah,
I've seen icebergs before.
You've seen icebergs before.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't. There obviously there's humour there. No, but I've seen the concept of the whole iceberg. You start off at the top, and then as you work your way down, you get into more sort of like niche, sort of darker topics or more sort of deep lore, as it were. So yeah, I'm familiar with the concept. Not seen a specific one though.
Yeah, there's that kind of idea that you have to chase the harder stuff all the time. Although I've got to say, I've got some big problems with this. You guys can probably guess some of the things that really ground my gears when I saw this meme. I mean, for a start, how the heck is the 2010 remake of I Spit on Your Grave in the same category as Freaks? How is it worse nominally than The House that Jack Built, which I don't know if I want to describe the scenes in it, but I believe that's a Lars von Trier. Can I check? Is that Lars von Trier? House that Jack Built?
I'll just take your word for it.
Anyway, dark stuff. Very dark stuff. I wouldn't watch that. The stuff that happens to a duckling, I wouldn't go near it. Pink Flamingos, very fair choice, but some of this is very bafflingly placed,
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand how the human centipede isn't, the depthest of the depths. It's definitely worse than Salo. The human centipede is the most disgusting film I've ever seen. It's the only film I've seen on this list.
I don't know.
Hang on, you've actually seen the human centipede?
Okay, I've seen the worst clips from it, I should say.
Okay, fair play. Good, because I can make you watch the whole thing.
I was going to say he got the gist of it from Family Guy.
I was going to say there's usually a version of this where they have a film about Unit 731, so World War II Japanese medical experiments. That's usually on here, but I can't see it. I did see a question about some of this. Where was it? Waifu, you asked about guinea pig. Guinea pig is part of a series of Japanese films. The title is literally just like a Japanese way of saying guinea pig. So, za guinea pig. And they are kind of relentless torture. So there's at least three of them, I think. The third one is Flower of Blood and Bone. They were one of the things that were going around in the video nasty era when I sort of mentioned people got their VHSs and suddenly they could get films from all over the world. And people imported a lot of the extreme giallo stuff from Italy. You also started seeing some of the extreme Japanese stuff go around as fan dubs and without much context to it. So the guinea pig stuff is some quite grim material. One of the bits of deep lore about guinea pig is that it was shown at a Hollywood party and Charlie Sheen reported it thinking it was snuff. It was real stuff.
Wow.
There's some deep lore for you.
If it gets Charlie Sheen,
yeah,
that must be hardcore then.
But I think I've got to say, looking at this, I'm going to sound maybe atypical for this channel. I don't want to accept the premise of this that you will automatically go all the way down the iceberg, or that you are, I want you guys to know that you are still valid. You are valid horror fans, even if you don't go below the surface. If you don't watch anything tougher than Midsummer, you guys are valid and special. I just want you to know that, guys, okay? I just want you to know that.
I don't think that.
Oh. Are you going to call them pussies?
What, on this stream? No.
We're not family friendly this episode.
Oh, yeah. Pussies. No. No, to be fair, like as we were saying beforehand, I mean, looking at the list I've got there, I'm actually quite disappointed in myself because I've hardly seen any of the films. You just look at the top, I've seen 2, 3, and then the next row down, I've only seen the Human Centipede, then Freaks. I think we covered that on here, didn't we?
We haven't actually. We talked about it early on, and it was a bonus viewing, and you actually went and watched it.
I did, yes.
I was super
impressed. It was one of the few bonus homeworks I've done. But then, yeah, the Human Centipede 2 is about as deep as I go, to be fair. But that just because I'm looking at these films, and a lot of them I've not heard of before, so he might be deeper.
John, I've got that comment up. Can you just tell me in the comments, is this worth watching? Are any of them worth watching? I've not ventured. They seemed a bit extreme to me. Faces of Death, incidentally. Who commented of that? Mergoot, yes. Yeah, Faces of Death is literally just like a weird internet chop up, but back in the day. It's accident footage and like real accidents and some special effects stuff. It's just like, skateboarding accidents. It's kind of a contextless stream of really grim stuff. It's quite legendary.
Okay.
One of the things you might know of here is a Serbian film from 2010. That was one of the last big fights that the BBFC had. they really put their foot down on a Serbian film, and they refused to allow it to be broadcast.
Why?
Nice.
How can I say? Right, we might have a bit of a trouble here. I'll speak in a bit of code. So I'll see how far I can get. So a Serbian film is Serbian. It is nominally a dark satire. I have watched it. I watched it a couple of years ago, and I was actually quite impressed for it. It was one of those things that went around as like a test for the horror community. Like, oh, will you watch a Serbian film? Will you make it through it, guys? And people would do their thing of like, oh no, I'm drawing a line there. I'm not going there. But it is about a guy who is an adult performer. So he's a porn actor. And he gets contacted to make a special film. And it's all very dodgy. And he goes in, and it's effectively a kind of long... He's having to do like hardcore stuff, but there's like a child in the room.
Okay, that's enough.
Yeah. Like, people hated this. It went very
I can see
extreme.
why.
But the whole horror was the fact that you could clearly see they were kind of gearing him up to directly interact with this. And it's like, that was genuinely horrifying. Like, I was freaked out, really wondering, like, oh, how far are they going to go with that? It was nightmarish, and there's some extreme violence in there, and it ends with like some of the blackest humor you will ever see. But I kind of liked it. I thought it had some interesting ideas, and it had unique scares, and it was quite intelligent in knowing how disturbing it was being. Oh my gosh, Needle and
Fur, yes.
The
Krampus
legend.
story, yes.
Absolutely love it. Yeah. I think we are going to have to cover it at some point because I just love it. We'll go random on it maybe and just cover that episode because I love it so much. I've recommended it for people who want to see Christmas horror. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go. I'm just going to come out and say I'm not watching that film. There you go. There's my line. I'm not watching that.
Well, that's the thing. Is like for all the joking, I do want to say like this is kind of interesting, but I think at a certain point you are ending up. A lot of this is going to be basically porn.
Yeah.
You know, and what I do try and do here is I will have some extreme material covered, but I don't tend to do stuff that I don't think we can say anything interesting about, or that there isn't a sort of an interesting take on. Like this idea of you just go down to the bottom of the iceberg to prove how legit you are. I don't know. John, I don't know. He would have some interesting stuff about the idea of the shadows from the id summoning things. Gosh, what would that say? I mean, the director said it as a political satire about his country. I think we're probably missing some Serbian context. Mima, I don't know what was wrong with Freaks. I've got no idea why it ends up on the same level as, well, let's see, Mother, which has a baby being torn apart and eaten. Yeah, Freaks, as it says, is from 1932. It did cause a stir when it was originally out. It had to get the H for horrific certificate. But you can imagine that it's basically rated U today.
Yeah, I thought it was quite wholesome in some parts, you know?
I really like it. I mean, there's sort of a thing where, I don't know, is it the fact that you've got the two actors who have a special kind of dwarfism where they basically appear to be children? Like there's some implication of them having romance, but it's not really the point of the horror. It's more that the chap in that pair is being swindled. Yeah, so
maybe.
Yeah, it's an odd one. I've got no idea why Freaks is on that list. It's a wholesome, good, redeeming horror film, and highly recommended for everyone, from the excellent Todd Browning, who I think will get his own arc eventually. But
I just thought the guy lighting a cigar with his mouth, because it was the guy with no hands and no legs.
Yeah.
I just remember that, and I'm like, yeah, this feels brilliant.
It's pretty unforgettable. Folks, you should try and see Freaks, if only for that. This was a chap's real act because a lot of them were genuine performers in a freak show, and this was a chap's real act. He had no arms, he had no legs, and he would light a cigarette. And if that sounds intriguing, if you're wondering how the heck he did it, well, watch Freaks. Shall we move on to discussing our film of the night?
I'm happy to move on.
Yes.
Good.
Yes,
We were veering on being wholesome there for a second. We're going to have to swerve into the dark side again. Okay.
You know, this film's got me into snuff films. Now I want more.
Oh no, it's all true. You get hooked. You get hooked on the
I've
stuff.
seen the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, just the tip.
Just the tip.
That's how it starts, Haryan. That's how it starts. That's how they get you. Yeah, Murgit's got a good point, actually. Yes, Eraserhead and Pink Flamingos are. I question the priorities of that meme maker. Okay. So, 8mm. An interesting film, I would say. With some...
Yeah.
One of the things that really stood out to me is like the cast is amazing. This has some serious pedigree. So the writer is Andrew Kevin Walker. We will cover his thoughts on the film later. He was not a fan at all. He disavowed this film completely because it was massively rewritten from what he did. And we'll cover some of the things that he had in that were taken out. But most surprisingly to me was that the director is Joel Schumacher.
Yeah.
Is that ringing bells for you all?
Joel Schumacher, yes.
No.
Do you know what he did immediately prior to... Oh gosh.
I know
what did he do immediately prior to making this film about the seedy world of snuff film? And
is this something to do with Batman? Because he directed like 2 of the Batman films, wasn't it? Wasn't it Batman and Robin or Batman Forever?
Yes, literally the film before this was Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin, that's it.
Well, the one with Schwarzenegger.
No, it's the one with George Clooney and the Mastercards.
It
It is the Schwarzenegger one then, because it's got Mr.
Oh
Freeze,
yeah. Sorry.
Mr. Freeze.
Why am I thinking?
See you.
Oh my god! Why am I thinking of Schwarzenegger as Batman? Wow.
That wouldn't work.
Why
You
not?
can tell from his accent who Bruce Wayne is.
Why not?
Imagine if Batman was saying like, "I am vengeance," and then you're like, "Well, you sound like Bruce Wayne, dude."
Yeah, but he could have one of those voice modulators.
I don't think it'd work.
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
I don't think it'd work, but you know, if you could write that.
I'll give it a go.
Getting all the memories back. Who can forget?
The Bat credit card. That's it. Yeah. The Bat nipples.
Terrible.
Batman the nippling.
Terrible.
God,
this is quite a jarring swerve, but then Joel Schumacher is an interesting chap, you know, because 2 years before making Batman and Robin, he also made Falling Down. Have you seen that one?
Oh my god, yes. Is that
about London Bridge?
No, that is it Kirk Douglas?
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas, that's the one.
Yes. Douglas. Yeah.
Yes, Michael Douglas. That's a brilliant film. That's actually one of my top 5 films, Falling Down.
It is.
Shame I can't remember the actors.
It's a fantastic watch. The interpretation is very interesting. You can go many ways on reading it, but it is it is quite the watch. Haryan, if you've not seen it, you would love it.
You need to see it.
Well, maybe I will.
It's almost like a dramatic playthrough of GTA, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, I suppose.
He goes round, he levels up, you know?
If you say
I mean,
so.
the guy kind of like starts off like series 1, episode 1, David Brent. You know, he's a bit mardy, but I suppose he's a bit optimistic. And then he ends series 2, episode 6, where the guy has literally lost everything, all in a matter of minutes. And then it's just my favourite scene in that film is where he goes to get the breakfast.
every time. But I really like him taking on the construction crew, the road repair, and just being like, "You guys just do this to keep your damn budgets." I love it. It's so ridiculous. Joel Schumacher, interesting chap, interesting background, and he produces wildly varying films. So it's not like crazy that he would direct this film, but at the same time, he is quite commercially minded. And I think that did cause a certain amount of problems. So he got Andrew Kevin Walker on. You guys will know Andrew Kevin Walker from Fight Club, from Seven. And he'd done something else that really surprised me, Sleepy Hollow. Although that got really rewritten as well.
Is that the Johnny Depp one?
Yeah. I love that film. I'm such a fan of that Sleepy Hollow. It's great. Hey, Charlie Chieftain, how you doing, man? So basically, this is made in 1999. Andrew Kevin Walker is one of the hot properties at the time. You know, Seven has been a massive hit. And Fight Club has come out. Okay, not a massive hit, but it won acclaim. So he was very much in demand. He produces this sort of another dark, gritty script that's quite challenging. And they get a $40 million budget to make this film. But once they get it, Schumacher decides that he wants to make some rather significant changes. The studio was not 100% happy with this. Weirdly, they found some of the content to be a bit extreme, and so they insisted on toning it down a lot, and they went through many edits to try and get this an R rating instead of the sort of box office poison that is NC-17. And that seems kind of quaint to think, like, guys, when you watch this, did you get the feeling that this had been heavily edited down?
Do you know, I didn't. Actually, no. I felt like it was presented appropriately to get it through. I felt like they were pushing the boundaries enough as it was with what I was seeing. But when you mentioned, especially backstage, when you mentioned that they had to heavily edit this film down, I was like, yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah, the main thing was like how much of the adult material that they actually show on screen. Because it's a thing of like, you're having to show this dark, disturbing, very degenerate world. And how do you impress on someone how disturbing it is? Now, they rely on Nicolas Cage to react a lot. But at a certain point, they kind of have to show some stuff, and that's where they hit a barrier. Yeah.
Oh God, that bit when he was reacting to the footage the first time is just typical Nicolas Cage acting.
That's most of the trailer. Is literally just, you just see him watching the footage. That's like a long intro to it, and it's just his disgusted reaction to the titular 8mm footage. And we should probably actually talk about the premise of this. As we've talked a little bit about some of the ups and downs of it, I'll get into what Andrew Kevin Walker had written and what they took out later. Prompt me if I don't, but suffice to say, it was grimmer, as you might expect. Haryan, would you like to take a shot at the premise of the film? Someone asks you, 8mm, what a weird title. What's that about?
It's about the size of my penis. No, it's...
I take the family friendly off for one damn stream.
What did you expect?
And now it's dong jokes.
Wow.
Exactly. But
Oh.
yes, private investigator Nicolas Cage, aka Tom Wells. He well, private investigator, as you say, but he's hired by this old disabled woman in the wheelchair on the right on the screen because her husband died recently, and they managed to force his safe open and found, among a lot of things in there, a strange film filmed on 8mm tape, hence 8mm. And they say, oh, this appears to be a snuff film, basically. A girl dies in this film. We want you to check if it's real. We want you to check that the girl in it's all right. Can you do that? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then he watches it, and it looks like a very realistic snuff film.
I will get up a little bit of that scene for you so you get an idea of it. There's a shot I absolutely love. You're seeing it from behind. Oh, very nice, TCG. Very nice. You realize you're seeing the footage projected from behind, and then you shift from seeing it to seeing Nicolas Cage reacting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go through a few of those. Bear with me, folks.
Wait, are you saying we're seeing this girl from behind? Yeah. So.
Oy vey. It takes a dark turn, doesn't it?
Yes, there's a man in a mask who looks, well, it's a kind of gimp mask. It looks a bit like the Riddler from the new Batman film.
Wait, no spoilers. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
You know what he looks like?
No, I don't.
No.
It's on the posters.
He's played by Paul Dano, right?
Yeah.
I've proper gone a proper radio silence with that film. I know nothing.
Nice.
Well, the Riddler has a mask. Like, sorry for the spoiler.
Oh man, that's it. I can't watch it now.
Wow. You really knew nothing about that, but yes, Nick Cage is reacting, watching this woman getting cut up and then just what looks like killed. So the woman says, "Spare no expense. Find out who she is. Do your investigative work, and come back to me." And in his investigations, he starts off at like looking through who she could be, finds a name, and then one of the first things he does is he finds a mother, and then she sends him to like a Catholic boarding school, which compared to like it only goes downhill from there. He gets deeper and deeper into trying to find out who she was. So he sees a criminal ex who's currently in a prison who dumped her. And
I've got footage of that guy because. This was a treat, an absolute treat. Where is he?
A surprised Norman Reedus.
Look at him! Look at his fresh little face.
He's such a baby.
Oh, Rory Herbert. Hello, friend. You're in time for a very young Norman Reedus.
And later he meets Joaquin Phoenix, a man of ill repute. He sells sophisticated material to very interested parties.
That is some Susan
look.
friendly euphemisms. Well done.
But so he investigates more and more into the world of porn, seeing some simulated struggle snuggle films along with some simulated torture porn, quite literally.
If I can stop you there, just for a pause, for a thing at the start of this, I really, really liked how seriously they took it, and I really liked in terms of like how disturbing the footage was. They played it absolutely po-faced, and I was really drawn to how seriously the old woman took it, like that kind of very human, like she cares about this woman as a human being. She genuinely wants to know she's okay, like she was taking that subject matter so seriously. I really liked that. How do you guys feel about it?
Yeah, I liked it.
It's a really good
it felt genuine.
Well, it was a really good kind of way of in the kind of world Tom Wells finds himself in later in the film. It's this massive a completely different way of looking at people. Because because this woman doesn't know anything about her. She just knows she thinks she's been murdered, and that's enough for her to go, please find and make everything right. Whereas the men in the porn industry, they're just like, I mean, as not Tony Soprano says, do you know how much pussy comes through here? Like, he doesn't care about any women. He just wants them to blow him and then get star in blowing other men.
Total self-report for Hollywood, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
I really welcome it, just because this film goes into some extremely dark places, and having that kind of touch of humanity, the idea that there are decent people who would really just care about the fate of this one individual girl, that it really matters who she is, that she gets a name. Yeah. I really needed that. I needed the counterpoint of Nicolas Cage, Tom Wells, having a family that was healthy and normal, you know? Andrew Kevin Walker would say we are wusses for that, because his version of the script does not let us off that easy.
How so?
Oh, okay. I'll talk about it now, maybe, so it feels natural, and I don't forget to do it. So I looked up. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, just before you go into it, because I personally I like the angle that he had this like normal household, and you know everything was normal on his side. There was no, it was no like degeneracy or anything along those lines. It just seemed very straightforward. The
worst thing is that he lies about.
He lies about smoking.
Yeah.
And you just think, okay, and it kind of intrigued me, because I thought they were going to go down the angle of, the lies getting bigger, and I felt like at parts that they were going to allude to that, but regardless, I think the fact that you had this sort of juxtaposition with him and his normal family, and then you had this seedy underworld, I thought was a good thing it was a good thing, basically. I liked it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the Andrew Kevin Walker idea was very much, like Bilbo at the end, Frodo at the end of Return of the King. Like, it's that message of what he's seen, he can't go back to the Shire. They had that vibe that basically Tom Wells has been so disturbed by what he's seen that he can't go back to normality, and in the end he kills himself by driving driving so recklessly that you're unsure whether he intended to die in a crash or not.
Got you.
There's also a few touches that were designed to sort of deny an obvious point of satisfaction and curiosity. So, for instance, in the Andrew Kevin Walker original script, according to an interview he gave with the Groundy ad, Machine never takes his mask off. Okay. So it's just one of those things to just like deny you satisfaction. Like, you always remember from, say, like Dredd, the fact that Dredd never takes his helmet off, and therefore it's
wow.
you're kept wondering, aren't you?
Unless you're watching the Sylvester Stallone version, but yeah.
Well, yes. Hear me, Halo TV series. You keep that helmet on. Gosh darn it.
Do superior film, I might add.
Yeah. Let's see one of the others. Let's see. So we got that Machine never gets to take his mask off and never speaks. And Joel Schumacher added in the letter from Mary Ann's mother, which was effectively saying, like, she's found some kind of catharsis. She's going to get therapy. She's going to be all right.
Yeah.
And he also basically never lets any machine explain his motivation, which is kind of a shame, because I like that.
I was going to say I quite liked it myself. I thought in some ways that was superior when when the mask comes off and it's just some dork basically. And he's like, and it was just like, what were you expecting? What were you expecting? And then the glass, just such a nice little touch when he puts the glasses on afterwards. I'm like, yeah.
Did you recognise that actor? I'll get him up on screen actually, because I've got the screen cap. Don't worry, he's a niche one. I know Richard will recognise him. As second I get the image up, there's my lad. Richard will recognise Frank Sobotka from season 2 of The Wire.
Right. No, I've never watched The Wire, I have to say.
Oh my gosh. Well, you have a treat ahead of you, my friend. Yeah, like, I know. So this was a Joel Schumacher touch, but it's so nihilistic. Like, I kind of like that he just outright rejects the sort of therapeutic world angle, that he isn't this way because of some kind of traumatic event. He is just into this violent, evil stuff. I liked that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, Yiz has got him as well. Instantly. Well done, lads. Oh, T-Bone as well. Yes. See, I think we've got kind of a few Wire fans in the chat tonight. I'm very chuffed about this. I did see one question. I should just Rory. Hello, friend. I did see that. TCG alerted me to the fact that The Hole is on Netflix at the moment. I don't know if it still is.
I will have a look.
Like this film, unexpected amount of dong, but very enjoyable. It's got a few touches that seem a bit aged, but I really enjoyed that. That was a great rewatch.
I can confirm it is still there.
Nice, excellent. You can enjoy The Hole if you're interested. It's weird seeing a very young Lawrence Fox in that.
I know, right?
Yeah, very weird watch. Someone also mentioned The Ninth Gate, which I can't find it. I'm sorry. Whoever mentioned The Ninth Gate, good shout. That is something else we could have had in this arc, because it's very much based on the kind of, in that case, someone has found a disturbing book that they are trying to track down. So it is that idea of like a disturbing bit of footage that someone has to track down. As we've... People are noticing some phrasing being dropped here. Interesting. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought here. I've got to stop watching chat. I found it interesting. I've watched it a couple of times. It always loses me at the end, to be honest. But it's such a great premise. Yeah, in this one, as with The Ring, I'm really interested in this arc, in how people are like tracking down the disturbing footage and what it does to them.
The one thing I would say is where the film for me lets it down is where Nicolas Cage is having the scenes, or Tom's having the scenes with Joaquin Phoenix's character, and he sort of alludes to, obviously the more deep you get into it, the more you'll get into it. Essentially, like, the devil, you don't control the devil controls you, kind of thing.
Yeah, and Kevin Walker hated that line.
Yes.
He specifically called that one out.
I just don't feel. I do kind of feel like it didn't really pay off in this film, though. What I would have liked to have seen, something along the lines of like Nicolas Cage's character going right down into the depths, and maybe even coming out the other side of it, actually involved in it in some way, like completely convinced by it and completely into it at the end. Sort of like you go from the beginning when you see him watching the videos or the 8mm footage, and he's absolutely repulsed by it, and then later on in the film, when you see him going through the videos and stuff like that, and he's like, oh, does it make you hard? And he's like, no, to actually eventually starting to get a kick out of it, and then
I felt like that. I felt like it desensitized him to violence anyway. Hence all the killings.
I think he eventually did have that kind of effect on him. Incidentally, that thing you describe, that idea of him being sort of tainted by the world, and unable to sort of get back, that's actually like a major feature of a Serbian film. Like done quite well in then, but there's a touch of that in this that I quite liked.
Okay.
I'm just thinking of like when he comes back into his house and he's just weeping.
Yeah.
Now,
But
Harry,
I just feel like it was
sorry.
getting. I just felt like it was getting to him, not in a. I don't think he was getting engrossed by it though. That's the thing. Like it was always consistent that he was repulsed by it. But for me, that repulsion grew to the point where he then started like obviously killing all of the other like the main antagonists off. But
I never took it as a you'll start enjoying this and getting sexually into it. I took it more of a the more you are in this world, the more you'll stop being a normal person, basically. The more you'll likely you will to do evil things, and obviously for most people in the porn industry that goes to lust, but then he's like, no, I want to take righteous revenge on them, and ends up killing them in pretty horrific ways.
I know, but he was justified, I think.
Yeah, I
There was
read that in a
would
similar way of like he's going into such a den of such a wretched hive of scum and villainy that basically he realizes I can't behave like I'm in normal civilization here. I can't just call the police on these people. I just have to execute these vermin.
Yeah. Maybe I just got the messaging wrong, but yeah, I felt like it was going to go the direction of that he would sort of like get into it a little bit more, and maybe even get involved in it in some capacity. That was how I was reading it at the time. I mean, I'm glad it didn't pay off that way because I'm glad he cleared them out, as Fez says.
Absolutely, clear them out.
But yeah,
There needs to be a new start.
I think that level of corruption. I think for someone to have been corrupted to the point where they essentially abandon their old life, which was quite a safe life, for this dingy, degenerate, scummy way of living. It would have been an interesting, interesting point or interesting topic to go down.
Yeah, I do like in here this kind of vibe of like how far the depravity can go, and how people. Something I thought the film did really well was that sense of how you fall into the depravity. Did you guys like that?
What do you mean by fall into the?
Well, okay,
depravity?
so one thing I noticed was when Tom Wells is. I'm going to try and use his name and not just say Nick Cage over and over.
It's hard not to.
Yeah, I know.
Phrasing, Alabastard. Sorry, just.
Ooh, woo. Ooh, woo. How could you, Wheezy? Yeah, so he starts his search, and I really like this. He's looking around Hollywood, and he's instantly in a sort of not the bright and shiny area. He's in an area that's obviously a bit more ghetto, and we just have this montage of searching. So he goes from here, which is still bright and sunny out and outside, even if a bit run down, and then his next stop is straight to this. I'm gonna have to be so careful with my screen caps, aren't I?
You needed the old Britisher for this one. He would have been very busy tonight.
I should have brought back the Britisher to censor all the errant titty in this. There is going to be some free-flowing dugs at some point, I'm sure, if I haven't clipped them all out. Hopefully we'll be all right. Yeah, so he then ends up here, so darker. There's a neon. It's instantly a more sleazy vibe. But he keeps searching, and then he's down in, really down in the depths. And I can't find... What was the one I was looking for? Oh, he meets Joaquin Phoenix there. And then it's downhill into the full-on degeneracy until they're seeing this,
Oh, yeah.
I love how they just showed that clear path of sinking down and down into this dark underworld.
Yeah. I didn't like this scene. I mean, it was a good scene. I just didn't like what they were selling.
Yeah, this was
And
so
you can see it in the screenshot that you got there, like what they're not
I,
the
I
images
was
so much, but yeah.
I was careful with the screenshot. I mean, obviously, folks, even though this is Hollywood, they cannot show all that much. And you do not see any, this isn't, you're not going to see any actual indecent images of children. Come on, this isn't Netflix. But I've got to say, I mean, if I'm going to pick some nits, I do kind of think, would they have just like a box of kids there? What do you reckon?
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, but then it would. I don't know.
They kind of.
I try not to think about it. To be fair.
Yeah, it's a grim thought. I mean, years has captured my take on it very well. Like, I thought it was well made. I think the cast is amazing. It's hard to have a good time watching this film because of how dark it goes. I sort of, I don't know. I would just kind of like hope. How can I even say this? I think like that would be like one level further down. Like, it wouldn't be out in the open even there. Just because of the way the guy reacted to the first place they look for snuff, the guy gets violent and kicks him out, and I'd kind of worry, would they have the same reaction there, or is this place already that bad?
What was I say? Because here's the thing. Because interestingly, in this scene as well, like obviously they've got this stuff on display, like openly and happily willing to sell it. And then when he starts talking about snuff films to the other guy, he's like, "We don't have that stuff here," and like with genuine revulsion. And it's like, do you not see what you've got down there? You absolute scum.
There's a line.
Yeah,
there's that line in the sun. I mean, I get it.
But their line is well skew-if, mate. Honestly, I was just like, dude, like this is the thing about this film, right? Because when I first started watching this, because I hadn't seen this before, I was expecting, I don't know, something Ring-esque, like you watch this film and, bad stuff starts to happen off the back of it. And as the film went on, I was like, this isn't a horror film. But it does things to me that a horror film doesn't. Like, not many horror films do. And that's, like, it gave me genuine revulsion and it made me want to, like, just stop watching at certain points. Like, this was one of those points where I was like, I don't want to keep watching it, because if they're prepared to show something like that just on display, how further are they going to go? I mean, obviously, like you said, it's Hollywood, it ain't Netflix, so it's going to be sanitized, it's going to be safe. But at the same time, it's like, I don't even want to even remotely want to picture anything like that.
Yeah.
We may be abusing a really
literally,
yeah, literally. That was literally it, yeah.
It's just a line in the sun,
yeah.
Yeah. It's I really, really empathize with that. That was I sort of thought when I was watching this, like, this is stretching the boundary of what I can really cover in a horror thing, because it's it's a dark thriller. It's not aiming to be a horror film, but I was consistently horrified by it.
Yeah.
Haryan, I'd really like to hear from you about, like, I mean, does that ring a bell for you when you're watching scenes like this?
Isn't it? It's not kind of classic. It's more thriller, just with a really, really degenerate subject that they're going further into than I thought they would do for a Hollywood film, to be honest. But it's, I mean, I don't know. I guess me knowing it's a film, I wasn't like, it wasn't as bad as like when I'm looking at. I mean, what gets me? Needles going into skin, like close-ups of surgery and things like that. It wasn't anywhere near that bad, and it's because they didn't really show any proper close-up knife cutting. It was all kind of implied, which I don't think was as bad for me. So
yeah, the violence is relatively tame for an 18. I think it is all the fact that they did show some pornography. that got them into trouble. Like they really struggled to show much of that without getting a much higher certificate, and so I think they clamped back in other areas. It's sort of harder to classify. Incidentally, because I need to drop this bit of amazing info earlier at some point rather. The original title for this was Sexy World and not 8mm. I think we're all grateful for the change.
I'm definitely grateful for it. I love what Maverick said in the chat. If this movie was made today, hey, I'm looking for some Alex Jones videos. Dealer. Whoa, dude, come on. We don't have that filth here.
That's sort of an interesting thought, actually. Like, do you think this film is quite dated by the lack of internet?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay. Interesting.
Man, yeah, lively, dude.
Well, yeah, but I mean...
People would be like, is this it?
I mean, this is... I suppose. I don't know, I just think if you're going for more like the seedy, illegal kind of stuff, I mean, this is... Yeah. I still imagine these sort of underground markets exist outside of the internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think what dated it for me was the mobile phones.
Oh yeah, they were huge. Yeah,
it is the little details like that. I wish I'd got a photo of the of that. That would be great. I should point out Rory Herbert, you're a star. Yes, absolutely. 14 likes. We need to get that up, guys. Although it's a very nice number, but I'm sure we can do better with 18 in the chat. We can go over that. Mergut raises an interesting one here. Actually, the premise here very similar to hardcore, or the hardcore lifestyle. I think it's also called. But yeah, going much darker. Because, it's made in the late 90s, so they can show a lot more. I do worry what the film would show if it were made today. Although Andrew Kevin Walker was calling for a remake as late as 2017. So
I saw Richard.
We'll find out.
I saw Richard on Twitter earlier. He shared out a sequel to this 8mm 2.
Yeah, I think that's kind of an American Psycho 2 sort of deal.
Ah, right, okay.
It has my memory has it as starring Julie Benz as a Joss Whedon addict. I'm very fond memories of Julie Benz as Darla in both Buffy and Angel. Although many of you will know her from Dexter.
Assuming I've seen that, which I haven't.
God, I know TCG has.
Which character is this? Sorry,
She in Dexter. She was Dexter's blonde. Rita. Rita was her name.
Oh, Rita, of course. Yeah. She's a bit of a soul.
And she was also in the Jack Nicholson comedy As Good as It Gets, where she's just there to basically get the most John Dee pilled smackdown in the whole film. She goes up to Jack Nicholson's author character and asks, how do you write women so well? And he says, I write men and then I take away reason and accountability. I think that's all she's in the film for, but she's great. That one tickled me.
Yeah, we do like Julie Benz.
As you say, JC, I think the internet would take away that. It wouldn't work as well because I think it works so much better when he's literally having to go into these physically dangerous, seedy places. It really, really adds to it. But
yeah, I agree.
There's an interesting thing. I mean, just some of the stuff in here. I've not screen capped too much for you guys, but just
it was this guy.
Yeah, this is the guy that was like, "Oh, have you got any snuff? There's no such thing. F off."
Amazing voice. Do you want a physiognomy check on this guy?
He looks like Lawrence Fox on heroin.
Yes.
Oh Jesus!
I partied harder than Boris, and it shows.
Oh, jeez.
There's no such thing as a mask mandate, no F off.
Oh my god. I haven't seen that film mentioned in a long time. If you look up the it cover image for Meet Witness, the version in the UK is a woman's mouth sewed shut.
Oh,
Amazing
Based.
poster. It's, yeah, very, very memorable. Very memorable. I'm going to feel really bad if this guy's just like a lovely chap. He volunteers at his church. He's just an organic gardener, but he really matches the physiognomy for someone selling this really, really awful material.
I can't believe you'd say Lawrence Fox is a massive pervert.
oh.
I've just
Lawrence Fox with 3 X's.
heard some. Oh. all right. JC wins the chat tonight. Well done. That's made my day.
Amazing.
Thank you, JC. That's brilliant.
This is unbelievable.
I just want to say that I'm so proud of this community.
Yeah. Fez, when I heard him, I don't know if anyone else thought this, I was so convinced that this guy was Ted Levine. You know, Buffalo Bill?
Oh, yeah.
He just had deep, rumbly voice. Oh, I was surprised it wasn't Ted Levine. Ted Levine shows up in Memoirs of a Geisha, weirdly enough.
Okay.
In a very, very off-putting lovemaking scene. It's one of the few things I remember from that film. I should probably move on from Memoirs of a Geisha.
Maybe.
Haryan, big fan of that film?
I've never even heard of it.
Good.
Same,
Good.
never heard of it.
Good. Moving on. Okay. So we've done the physiognomy check on this guy. One thing that I did kind of notice in this. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, isn't it nice to see some nuns? I'm just going to enjoy the wholesomeness of seeing some nuns for a minute.
This film had a lot of nunces.
No.
Oh, nice. I mean, I don't know. Go on.
Oh, sorry. I was going to ask you, what you thought of the way that he got to the bottom of the mystery.
Some of it was pretty good. Some of it was just. I was like, how did he find it? What made him look in the back of the toilet to find the diary? Nothing made him actually want to look in the back of the toilet. He just kind of left the toilet, went back, was like, yeah, I'll look straight in the back of it before looking anywhere else in the room. And I was really confused.
Skilled investigator.
It's
not like he was just gonna, do the old double decker.
I'm not being
in someone's toilet tank.
I'm not being funny, Haryan, but if you didn't hide your diary in a unused toilet as a teenager, then you were obviously doing something wrong. You're probably hiding yours under rocks, though, to be fair.
We do a little nunning.
It's called We Do a Little Nunning. Very good. Yes.
Yeah, it's just having a massive. I mean, I probably wouldn't mind it if he was trying to tear the whole house apart, and it was like one of the last places he looked. But it was the first place he looked in the bathroom after because obviously he looked a bit around the room.
John Goris knows exactly what's up. Absolutely, PI instincts. He knows what to do. There was one thing that stood out to me was that effectively he had 2 lines of inquiry. And this is not a problem in the script. He's not done anything wrong. But effectively, he could have completely skipped the Max California Joaquin Phoenix sideline. So basically, he has one route where he goes to the National Missing Persons Database. He looks through and then he finds a girl there.
Yeah.
So from that, we then get a sort of break, and he goes around looking through all the sort of Hollywood agencies until he finds his way to Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
But then on a completely separate line, he then goes to look in a couple of hostels, and that's how he ends up here. And it's here that he gets the suitcase, and the suitcase has a note, and the note leads him to James Gandolfini and what was it called? Celebrity Productions, Celebrity Films.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Celebrity
films. Yeah.
Yeah. Like basically,
not Tony Soprano. Yeah.
Basically, he would have got there without Joaquin Phoenix at all.
Yeah, I suppose actually.
I mean, there is literally nothing wrong. There's no reason that he shouldn't have looked that way, but it's just kind of interesting that he's on one thread and then we kind of snap back to it completely later.
What does he get from the nuns again as well? Doesn't he just he gets a suitcase, but what's actually in it?
The suitcase has a note, and the note has a couple of numbers on, and one of them is celebrity
films.
films.
Oh, that's what they do. Yeah, right. And that's not Tony Soprano. Yeah. Oh yeah. And obviously he's like, yeah, I've never seen it before, and then he starts bugging his office.
I really like this scene. Oh, sorry, I saved this image earlier because I just thought it was a bit gorgeous.
Nice. Yeah.
That's a nice shot.
Yeah, I really like that. Just like framed with them moving on their way, because it's an overhead shot, it looks like they're descending, even though they're just walking across an alley. See, filmmaking. How did the guy who framed this shot make Batman and Robin? I do not know. Anyway, sorry, I do have James Gandolfini just because I loved him in this scene. T-Bone, there is so much love for James Gandolfini. We love him here. I assume you guys do.
He's all right, I suppose.
Great chap who, it was good that he got the attention and he got to really flex himself. You see him in little roles like True Romance, but he obviously showed his range later. I also noticed that I didn't mention it earlier, but actually the director of this, Joel Schumacher, he passed away in 2020.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know.
Is he okay?
No, Harry, he's dead, mate.
Oh.
I know.
It's worse than that.
Did he get snuffed?
I think he's gone off to the great big bat cave in the sky.
Nice.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, I really like the scene. We're introduced to James Gandolfini. Again, just like the cast in this film is so ridiculously good. We haven't even mentioned the wife, by the way. Actually, there's two major people that we haven't mentioned yet. One was the wife, Catherine Keener. So horror fans are going to know her probably most recently for Get Out. Is that ringing bells?
I know. My headset just went a bit funny though.
No worries. I was going to say we know Catherine Keener in the horror world from Get Out. She was the mother who was skilled with the old hypnosis.
Right. I still haven't seen Get Out.
Oh.
Does that mean I need to get out? Go see the film, come back?
We could cover it eventually.
You don't sound so sure.
I'm not the biggest fan of that film. I don't totally hate it. I see why people have a problem with it, but I think I have an interesting take on it. I talked about it with Last Things when I did an interview on his channel.
Right.
But I've still not fully fleshed out my take on Get Out. And I think that means I have to watch it again, which is a bit annoying. I certainly like it the most of all of the Jordan Peele films. Mostly because in Get Out, he's not completely shitting on my favourite horror film of all time. It's just a brand new world.
What's your favourite? Oh, right, Candyman, of course.
Yeah, there we go.
You knew that.
I know.
Jeez.
I just wanted to get something right.
The Enriab, what's that about?
Hey?
Tell me in the
Interesting.
comments. I want to know about this. It sounds interesting. Very weird film being John Malkovich. Very, very unusual Cameron Diaz role. And John Cusack as well, wasn't it?
He
Yeah.
blocked me on Twitter because I asked him
Really?
to. Yes, because I asked him to.
Ah. Not because you said 1408 was overrated.
No. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was. Yeah, John Cusack. Yeah, he was going on a bit of a rant, and it was like, "Oh, people ask, I'm going to block them." So I was like, "Yeah, can you block me?" And he did. And I thought, "Oh, cool." John Cusack noticed me at least.
He's a man of his word. Good on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. The other cast member I wanted to highlight, and I think I do. I've got a better screenshot of him later. I'll wonder if any of you noticed this guy and like a, wait, what the heck is he doing here? Do I have him? There we go. Did any of you recognise this Ned Flanders looking fella?
Do you know what? I did, but I could not put my finger on it.
That's okay. Don't worry.
I am going to kick myself, ain't I?
Yeah, it's going to be one of those. Oh, that guy. He's someone you have seen over and over and over again, but he's just like he's always there. But you never particularly notice. That's not a slight to him. I think he does a good job. This is Anthony Heald, and you will have seen him in Silence of the Lambs.
Oh my god!
As Dr. Frederick Chilton.
Chilton, yeah.
Slimy,
If I'd only seen...
measly little creep hitting on Jodie Foster. Perfectly cast. He's amazing. He's been all over the place as well, this guy.
I've just pulled up his IMDb now. I'm just seeing what else he's been in. What? Deep Rising? X-Men? Shit. That might be where I recognise him more recently. Yeah, he was FBI Mystique interrogator, apparently.
I told you, this guy gets everywhere.
Wow. Okay. Red Dragon. Dr. Chilton, he's in Red Dragon as well. Oh, he was in X-Files.
I told you, my man gets around.
Law and Order. Murder, She Wrote. Amazing.
Yeah, he's great in this. I'm not sure I was 100% sold on the twist with him, but I could
see I could see it coming off a mile away. As soon as what sold it for me was right at the beginning when Nicolas Cage turns around and says, I'll deal directly through you to the old lady. The relationship you have with your solicitors, your business, and he's like, no offense, it's like none taken. I'm like, and just instantly in my mind I was like, yeah, he knows something.
There's also, it how can I say, it's one of those things where you might wonder why would you cast Anthony Heald if he's only going to turn up for one scene? It's like the casting kind of gives it away.
Right.
That's something that kind of drops with time because you kind of lose the star power context. But sometimes just in a movie, it's like you're like, nah, you didn't just cast this big name star to just be in one scene. They're going to come back. The plot's going to revolve around them. They're going to be the killer. They're going to be the villain.
It's like Jeffrey Combs being in a film, and it's like, oh, he's the butler, but the butler doesn't seem to be in it much. Maybe he'll be in it later.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I really liked him being in it. That was cool. Yeah. So we're just talking about the investigating there and the path that they took and how it's a little bit weird. It's through following James Gandolfini that they, and I really like the twist of how they caught him. So as you said, TCG, they bug his office. They see him doing a bit of the old casting couch and forcing a woman to suck. And, he did close curtains at least.
Oh, no, that was very thoughtful at least.
I thought there was there's kind of a good touch where she looks directly into the camera in a sort of
I
like,
saw
well,
that,
are you going to help me? Like that was.
yeah. Nah,
I told you
love,
this is a Hollywood self-report, but I think that's obscure enough. I can get away with that. So, in one, I thought this was really clever. Having not got anywhere, Tom Wells then calls up James Gandolfini's character Eddie and says, basically says, "I know what you did. I know you made the snuff movie. I know you killed the girl." And then sees what he does afterwards, knowing that if you make him panic, he's going to call someone relevant. I thought that was really clever.
I thought it was clever, but then it kind of sets up. It does set up the end of the film, or not the end of the film, but sort of like the scene where he does get like imprisoned early, like not imprisoned, but when he gets captured later on in the film, it does set all that up, because you think, well, I felt like that was a mistake on his part, but I can understand why he resorted to doing that, because quite clearly just the surveillance alone wasn't getting him anywhere fast. But then just to go from that then straight to try and then speak with this Dino, whatever his name was,
Dino Velvet. What a name.
Dino Velvet, to then like try and essentially do a film with him to get the machine in on the act.
My thing with this is, why wait till you happen to see this guy in the mask again? Why not just ask if Joaquin knows who it is? Because the only reason he asked him is because he recognised the little star,
the star on his arm,
the little pentagram. Yeah, it's like, why not lead with that? Show him the snuff film and be like, "Do you recognise anyone here?" It's like, "Oh, this pentagram, this guy in the mask, he look like anyone?" That's where that'd be one of the first things you ask. But it's one of the last, and it's in a place where, as you say, the investigation's led to dead ends, and you just got pretty lucky with it.
I like how they. Sorry, I cut you off there, Haryan.
No, it's fine. So it was going to be a bit of a Batman. Well, not spoiler, but I'll leave crying.
Yeah, don't spoil Batman.
It wouldn't be a spoiler.
Haryan? Oh.
But it's best not said.
Oh, the relevant question. That is Peter Stormare. Now, maybe not everyone will be aware of. I'll get him up on screen because I do have one of him. I just like that shot of them in this seedy motel room, watching absolute filth. Peter Stormare, you guys, if you're fans of Prison Break from way back in the day, I realise I'm going. He was in that. He was really good. You may also know him from Constantine, where he was a very good Satan.
Wasn't he in John Wick as well? John Wick 2, I think it was.
Let's have a little check. I'm not sure about that. I did see John Wick 2, but it didn't leave much of an impression on me.
He was in John Wick 2.
Yeah.
Yes. And 22 Jump Street.
Yeah, he was the guy next star, wasn't he?
Mm.
And Bad Boys 2.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm on his page right now. My gosh, this guy is busy.
He was also in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He played Lord Dreg. There you go.
Shocking stuff. Okay, yeah, the guy gets around. I love how sleazy he is. I love the reference to him as the Jim Jarmusch of hardcore, which was quite funny to me. Jim Jarmusch is this very laid-back director. It did not matter. I'd have compared him to David Lynch, like in terms of like the frenetic, weird editing. Like, yeah, comparing him to Jim Jarmusch is just like he's an artist. I found that a really weird comparison for the film to make.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes. Yes, of course. I only watched season 1 of American Gods, but maybe I should finish it. Okay, sorry. Yes, great character actor. Again, as we're saying, it's just like this film, you are absolutely spoiled for amazing actors in this. It's over the
Yeah,
top. Oh,
really
the
good.
NREAB actually
good
let us know, right? So
Catherine Keener is also on Being John Malkovich, but more importantly, The Twist of the Portal. Trying to avoid spoilers. Same. Get Out is an unofficial sequel.
well, I don't exactly follow that because it's been a long time since I watched Being John Malkovich, but maybe that is my instruction to watch it again. So I did enjoy it. Interesting. I'm going to be watching out for that when I do a rewatch of this. So they find their way to Dino Velvet. Nick Cage gives his specific requests for Dino to make a film.
Please kill a woman. Yeah.
Yeah, so that he can be in the same room as Machine and learn some details. I thought that was quite restrained. I'd have liked to see Nick Cage request something very, very specific and humorously deranged. But,
Yeah.
Shove a branding iron down a whore's throat or something. I didn't have to go that graphic, and I don't know why I did, but still.
It's because, my friend, you are diving deeper.
Maybe. But
You've only watched this the once, and look what it's done to you, Haryan.
well, this is what Live Leak does to a dude.
Oh, no.
It's corrupted his poor little Catholic
I was going to
mind.
blame The Guardian, but okay.
No, that's just psychologically torturing. I have to say, I do like the imagery of Dino just firing a crossbow at a cross, which is then used to tie up Joaquin Phoenix when they capture him.
Oh, I got a question for you guys. Like, okay, so they do, as you know, as we mentioned, this is effectively a trap. And don't you like it when your villains are actually intelligent? I mean, in this one, kind of paranoid, but you know.
Well, yeah, it's. I mean, the way Nick Cage was asking for things, it's obvious that he's probably a cop.
Yeah.
A little bit. He was told off for having that cop energy. Oh, do I have a screen cap of it? I do. Good.
It's the first thing everyone asks him.
Yeah.
And it's even what's it called, the Mr. Longsdale's like, oh, I hired you because you were like terrible. I thought you'd well, no, he says you're young and naive, and I thought you'd give up quite easily with this, but no, you kept going. Now I've got a gun to you.
Yeah, so before we talk about the revelations of this, as well as, you know, again, this is visually striking, it looks great, it's disturbing. Did you notice that I should also point out, you know, this guy, Max California, he was meant to escape. You know, he was that close to retiring, but they grabbed him, kidnapped him, and they put him up there. Did you notice that when they killed him, there was no cutthroat effect?
I did notice that.
I was very confused by that. Yeah, I'm like, how did he die? I'm like, oh, they just rubbed a knife on him.
Yeah, they cut to a side angle where there is actually blood flowing out of his throat, but it's very brief, and it's just in silhouette, and there's stuff going on in the background, so you can kind of miss it. But I rewatched it 3 times just to check, and they just didn't do an effect at all. They literally just rub it over his throat, and he goes down. It's like, oh.
Why would you have a close up if you're not even going to have an effect? Like, what's the point? Just ruin
They'd have got away with it in a long shot.
Yeah.
So I've got no idea why they do that. It really bugged me.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I didn't know. Oh, well, I didn't notice any effect as well, and I thought because it all happened so quickly as well, and I just thought, oh, okay, keep watching. But no, I'm glad you said that, because I thought, because I always look, you know, I'm a stickler for the practical effects, so I distinctly remember he went over, and I'm like, head ducking down, having a look up, and I'm like, there's nothing there. What's going on? Yeah. Like a little bit of blood, maybe. Come on.
Now, it could be lazy. My only guess is that possibly it was a practice shot. when you do a cutthroat effect, what you tend to do is you do a pump, a thin feeding tube, or two feeding tubes on either side of the neck, and then you put a layer of latex over it. You blend that in with the throat, and you have the pumps at sort of a low level of pressure, and then you run a knife over the latex to cut it, or you have a thin wire that is attached to the knife, and then you pull that away, so the wire that is under the latex will rip that out and look like the knife cut it. But then you avoid the risk of cutting the throat, and then you can pump the blood out. So that obviously is a quite involved effect that I've just described. So my guess would be that they shot that, and then to avoid having to redo that multiple times, they did a version where they did a practice cut without the effect. And then they'll have filmed the effect. And as we've talked about, they had so much trouble getting this past the censors as an R rating. My suspicion is they said, fine, we'll just use the shot where we don't have the cutthroat effect. That's my guess.
Maybe, yeah.
It's kind of like, the start of Scream. We got lazy. We need to mention Scream more, guys. So there's the start of Scream where Drew Barrymore gets stabbed, and you are seeing everything. The knife is going right in. The MPAA was American equivalent of the BBFC was very unhappy with that shot, but they just told Wes Craven just told them, "I'm sorry, that's the only take we have." And so that's how they got it through. But usually, if you have alternate takes with less gore, sometimes they will say, okay, you're going to have to use that take if you want this certificate.
Right.
So I wonder if that's what happened here.
That's interesting. I mean, it kind of makes sense given the other stuff they had in this film at the time.
They had to go with a less gruesome shot. The rest of the film.
Well,
it was maybe it was either that or sacrifice one of those scenes in exchange for the cutthroat scene.
Well,
because there's only so much. Yeah, well, that's why. But then so are the censor boards.
The thing that we sort of joke about it with American censorship is that they're so much happier with violence than they are with nudity, and so the enema scene that they showed some of, which was already quite a lot to see, possibly cost them a heck of a lot, and so they just basically had no room for violence if they wanted to stay in an R rating. I'm guessing. But after that, sorry, that did bug me. I'm glad other people noticed it. Shocking state of affairs. We get a bit of an info drop, a bit of a monologuing, and Anthony Heald gets a chance to shine. I wanted to ask your thoughts. Oh, sorry, there was one thing I didn't say that I saved a screen cap of because I really liked this. When they're on their way to talk to Dino for the first time, did you see where they went through?
No. Where?
They went through the meatpacking district.
Yeah. Right, yeah, I get you.
So this thing of, here's someone who treats people like meat, and you're just running through people like hauling slabs of meat around. I thought that was quite revealing, like the women in these films just get treated the way the animals do here.
Yeah, it's pretty good framing.
I like it.
I did enjoy that. Now that you pointed it out.
Yeah. They didn't massively labour the point, but I think it's in there.
No, you just need to walk past it, and it makes sense to have someone who has made a snuff film, and makes things that are slightly less bad than snuff films. It'd be somewhere hidden or kind of inconspicuous like this. Pretty cool.
Nice little touch there.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just had to dip out. The cat was Yeah, when she wanted some food.
I was going to ask if it was a cat.
I just saw that picture, that screenshot, the pigs walking down the pig farm. As that scene went past, I did think to myself, man, proper horror show is going to be mad at that scene.
Me? Oh, this is vegan shaming me again. I'm so good about it, guys. I barely mention it. Barely ever.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we get the scene with the other guy, the other three involved, finding out they got swindled by Mr. Longdale because he got $1 million and he was supposed to pay them, but he only paid them like 50 grand each or something.
Did that work for you?
Yeah, I can imagine him being a piece of shit like that, and the others being annoyed. I guess the main bit that didn't really work with me is like, why are all three of you going? Especially like looking back on it, I don't know why Machine cared, because Machine just outright says, "Yeah, I don't care about anything but the fact that I enjoy hurting people."
I think Machine was.
Yeah.
I think Machine was there just so he would have a chance to do some hurting.
Well, no, I mean like all three of them approached him, whereas I think Machine had kind of check on Tom Wells to be like, you're not getting any of these weapons on this table I've just taken a knife from, for example.
That's a good shout. Yeah,
that's looking back, that's kind of the only main change I make, but it's a weird tension. It's a really weird situation with Nick Cage, Tom Wells having to pull this metal frame bed quite quietly across about 10 feet or so while he's like, please don't turn around.
It is a weird scenario, but I've got to say, I absolutely loved it. It reminded me of a lot of the kind of Korean action where you have like weird framing. In this one, he's handcuffed to something. He's having to assemble his gun. It really reminded me of this Korean film called A Bittersweet Life. I thought that was really well staged and nice and tense and kind of had manic energy that I really appreciated. Yeah,
I mean, it was a bit weird. I found his Dino's death a bit weird as well, because obviously the lawyer's like, drop your crossbow. He's like, fine. He kind of goes to throw it, swings it around and shoots him instantly, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's like, they're not doing it over the top, they're just doing something simple. And while he's got the bolt in him, he just shoots him through the neck, but then Dino just didn't seem to care. He's just like, oh, not like this. I don't know. I wasn't that convinced by his death. No,
the effect wasn't amazing, to be honest.
And his acting was a bit like, oh, I don't believe he's dying. Because you'd be bleeding a lot more from a neck shot like that as well. But
you would,
and you would be panicking unless he was drugged up, I guess.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a weak moment, but we got that really good fight between Machine and Eddie.
Yeah,
and Tom Wells. I loved the staging of it.
I mean, I guess we'll call it an action scene. It had good hits and like bad misses as well. It was really weird because then after this, obviously, he says, "Oh, Machine killed him," and then they hear the table falling over, so it alerts them to Tom Wells. So what does not Tony Soprano do? He kind of runs up to him, waits there, puts his arms out a bit, and then waits to get punched. And I'm like, oh, that kind of ruined it. And then Machine comes by as he's being thrown to the ground by Tom. He kind of like puts a hand on him to check on him first, and then he goes, oh wait, no. Then goes to stab Tom, and I'm like, no, surely you just do that first in his back. But obviously Tom had the knife hidden in his sleeve, so. Or maybe not, like it's some sort of ice pick or something.
It's one of those things like pitch meeting would talk about, like why doesn't he just stab him so the movie can happen?
And this wouldn't be too hard to fix, I think. But then it does something that I really like because then obviously Tom picks up the knife and not Tony Soprano's like, oh god, I don't want to fight him with a knife. And in my head I'm going, yeah. The gun that the other dude had, and the one that's under the car. Why don't you do that?
Oh, and he tries to get it from the wrong side of the car.
Yes, this is what I was going to say was, and then and this is after the gunshots. This is after he's fired the shot, and he's still reaching to try and grab it. And I'm like, mate, not only would it be easier for you to just get up and run around the other side, but you'll also have cover in the form of a car.
cars aren't actually that bulletproof, but
Well,
they would
but
be in
then,
the film.
You know, they're more bulletproof than fresh air. I'm just saying.
True. But I guess you use it more to like so that they can't see where
Yeah.
your head is.
Yeah.
But I get why you went for it like under the car like that, because you're panicking. You're like, oh god, brain says it'll be quicker this way. Hope I can reach, and you don't know how far it is from where he's standing. But yeah, it gives Tom enough time to grab a magazine, put a bullet in, get the gun, and he only needs one shot. And he's like, "Oh, I'll shoot you in the back if you don't get up." So he does. But then Machine says he's only got one bullet. And I'm kind of like, oh, what's he going to do here? I hope he does the clever thing that I'm thinking of. And then he does the clever thing I'm thinking of, where he shoots the handcuff, or the chain, sorry, to run away instead. And I'm like, yeah, that, you got 2 injured guys. He can't reach the gun. You've got enough time to run, I'd say. Go for it. And he did. And I'm like, yes, that's really good.
Nice.
Yeah. So it hit and miss.
Yeah, but before all this kicks off, though, we do get a little scene where Lonsdale here explains, I really like the scene between him and Tom Wells, where I think it's one of the first times that Wells just basically loses his cool and just goes, "How can you be so messed up? How can you do this?" And Lonsdale is just like, "This will be divisive," but he says, "Oh, why did the super rich guy who could have anything, why did he make a snuff film? Because he could." What do you guys reckon?
Yeah,
what do you feel about that?
Yeah, I could buy that.
I like it. Yeah, I really like it. A lot of people, it's like, why do dogs lick their balls? Because they can. I don't need any more motivation than that, really.
Yeah.
You can see it as like, yeah, he can have everything, so he needs a thing he's not meant to have. It's like the boundary has to be pushed.
Yeah, and it's not done like all rich people are bad type thing, because then obviously his wife tries to make it right.
Yeah, that was nicely balanced.
Yeah,
it's sort of, now that we've had stories come out about the numerous Hollywood types taking very interesting plane rides to very interesting islands.
Yeah,
it sort of makes sense, the idea that, yeah, you can have everything, so you want the taboo.
Yeah, exactly. It works.
It's almost like frustratingly anticlimactic, but probably depressingly believable.
Yeah.
But why they do it? Because they can. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Oh no, Fez has broken the code. I was trying to be so subtle. I was trying to speak in such elaborate code there, Fez.
The man who famously killed himself.
Yeah, Fez, you're gonna have to take out Clinton insurance now, mate.
I was gonna say, I thought we were talking about people who didn't kill themselves, but
Well, anyway, so we have this great. Well, I think we're largely in favour of how this plays out. Some nice gruesomeness, It's more action thriller than the sort of horrific dread we've had from his explorations of the world of seedy porn so far. But it sets us up for some nice detective work, probably familiar to any fans of The Wire, of how he tracks down Machine. I like that we have the montage of him just ringing all the hospitals, and he calls 5 hospitals before he gets a hit. I really like that.
A lot of the films like that, actually. It's showing him doing something, and it could have like montage music over it, but it doesn't. It's instead either him talking to his wife or him doing investigative work, and it's like, oh, that's a really good way to kind of transition scenes and let us know what he's doing. I did like that. And this film's still somehow 2 hours. Those are the type of things that make a film go quicker. But
yeah, they fit it in. They fit it in, but I like that they don't skip over the banality. Like, it's not even a long section, but when he's warned that he will have to look through hundreds of pages of missing people at the database really early on in the film, they take time to show him just scanning and scanning.
Yeah.
And you do get a sense of how long he was there. So it's really nicely done. But eventually, through calling the hospitals, looking for people matching Machine's description with an abdominal wound and lying, saying that he's a... Oh, sorry. We skipped over a whole thing. The bit where
not Tony Soprano.
Yeah, tells his
Yeah.
family to run away and hide, and then hunts down Eddie California. I really love this bit.
Yeah, well, he says you're taking me here to you're gonna show me where you killed her, because he just wants to know everything at this point. He doesn't care to do the work kind of properly. He is just kidnapping and threatening people now, because he feels righteous, which he probably is.
Well, as you said, it's like he's going so far into the depths of hell here.
Yeah,
like you're dealing with demons. Like
yeah. So he's
what are you gonna do?
own.
Get him an aspo? No, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's told obviously how she died. She was drugged up and everything, and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna kill you now because that is horrible." And he just ends up saying, "You can't kill me. You're too good." So licks the gun.
I just love this absolute perversion. Like he's saying you're a pussy. You can't do it.
He calls him a faggot.
Yeah. He compares him to Mr. Brain's famous pork products. There's one for the Brits.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's just like licking this gun, he's like James Gandolfini is showing himself to be like such a perverted, depraved, degenerate creature. He's licking the gun there, and you just see. I just got the feeling of like Tom Wells there, just like, what the heck kind of creature am I dealing with here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, I mean,
oh my gosh, Rory,
I know.
Trouble.
Yeah.
Get the Clinton insurance too, my friend.
Was her CCTV not working that night then as well? Then.
Yeah, I was gonna say as well. Because after this, he just goes off to call the girl's mother,
the mum,
and he's basically asking for permission to kill them.
Yeah.
And it's so weird as well. He calls her at like 2 a.m. She wakes up and he's just like, right, I know what happened to your daughter. She got snuggled and drugged up and stabbed and whatever. And she's just breaking down crying. It's like, well, I don't know what you expected. And it's like, you're never going to get an accurate judgment from her if you ask her straight after that.
He's like, says that and he's like, please tell me, please give me permission. It's like, dude.
But in that position, he's just finding any excuse to be able to kill him, basically.
Yeah, so he's looking for justification at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
And when she gives him that justification, then that in his mind, that's all he needed. Yeah. Because he Gandolfini was right. He wasn't going to do it off his own volition. He needed some sort of motivation to. Well, he didn't pull the trigger in this occasion, but he needed that. He needed that push.
I'm so sorry, TCG, but the way you say Gandolfini makes me picture an Italian wizard.
Yeah.
You shall not pass.
Oh dear.
I just thought of a weird plot thing here, though. Where he says, "Oh, that machine guy lives in New York somewhere." I'm sorry, can you? Because this is supposed to be somewhere in California, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's at the other side of the country. So why, when you get stabbed in the abdomen or the stomach, whatever, why would you fly over to New York and go into a hospital there? Wouldn't you just stay nearby? Especially with an abdominal wound, you wouldn't go home. You'd be in a hospital for weeks.
This might not be in California. Oh no, it isn't it?
Yeah.
Gosh, that's a really interesting point.
Yeah,
it's and he's just at home. It's like, oh yeah, he got charged in 2 days ago, but he's home now. It's like
Medicare.
It's stomach stab. Like no
Medicare
way. I don't know.
Socialized healthcare
works, but
in New York.
I don't know about. Well, California's even more socialized healthcare, I would imagine. But it's weird he's not in the hospital anymore. 2, it's weird he went, because what this is implying is that he flew home across the country with his stomach bleeding and then went to hospital. And he's like, it'd be 2 days ago. It's like, can you get a flight that quickly?
I think that's an absolutely amazing catch. Good job, Haryan.
So weird.
That is such a good catch.
And yeah, the hospitals in New York are like, yeah, we got one. It's like, why?
Well,
Why wouldn't Dino
that
put him
is
somewhere?
that. In fairness, is a
Yeah.
standard investigative technique. But yes, why he searches in New York and not California is
Yeah.
bizarre. So there was a bit. Basically, as you say, he's got his justification, he's got his vindication, he's motivated. He actually can cross a line, and brutally, like, he doesn't just shoot him; he pistol whips him to death. And I love this bit. He goes into his trunk and he collects all the filth that he's had to buy.
Yeah.
And you've just seen him slowly acquire this stuff over the course of the film. He then just like tips it out on this guy, and then he's going to symbolically burn it and purge it. And it's like, oh, I love this.
Yeah.
bit.
What? Notably,
Very
one of
based,
the
very
items that you see is some of the material that we were referring to earlier on in the movie.
Oh, the stuff of a more juvenile nature. Yeah. Oof. Oh, it's weird to think that he picked some of that up. But
I know. I kind of question that. But yeah.
I did not notice that detail, but that is very disturbing if you did.
Yeah. Well, he did. I mean, it was.
Yeah. But I just love this. It's that sense of, he's cleansing himself of it. And I really like that. Just burning it all. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant stuff. Very, very Mary Whitehouse build.
Oh, Murgoot says in the chat that the stabbing was in New York. Wells flew to LA to get Gandolfini. Then back to New York. Flights in the 90s were much easier to get.
Right. That makes,
okay.
That makes more sense. Right. Cool. Thank you. I was wondering, and we got an answer.
All right.
You could pay same day in cash, or same day pay in cash for a flight pre 9/11. Apparently,
we are. Well, we was going to say we are a pre that event that some guys did.
Did you notice? I actually saw the pair of towers very briefly when he goes back to New York. They're very briefly featured, and it's quite weird to see them. You know.
Well, yeah, and I think any film that's set in 2002 needs to have a whole scene dedicated to what life was like post that event. If any of you have seen the recent really funny video essay on Turning Red.
I have not. Can we have a link?
I'll try and find the tweet, but it's someone clipped this video essayist saying, like this Turning Red film, it's based in 2002, but it's acting like 9/11 never happened, and we really need a scene dedicated to that. And it's like, this is a film based in Canada about a load of kids. Talk about 9/11.
Yeah,
I need to find the tweet, but
I think I know the tweet you're talking about. It's kind of like, other things happened on that day.
So he grew up in Canada in 2002. Why, like, surely he knows about 9/11. It's like, what?
What got me was social media is a cancer sometimes, but I tell you what, the replies to that tweet, I did have come back to me now. Some of the replies were bloody brilliant.
I really want to find it.
All right, you keep looking. Anyway, so we go on a vengeance arc. I kind of love it. There's a bit of the old cleansing fire. Oh, delicious. And then he's on the hunt for Machine. There was something weird in this. And I might do a bit of a reach now.
Oh. Go on.
There's am I crazy to think there was kind of a weird anti-Christian thing happening in this film? And I'll just, it's based on two pieces of evidence only. But the family that commissioned, or rather the chap that commissioned the snuff film, is Mr. Christian. And when they get back to Machine's house, his mother takes a bus in the Christian Fellowship. And it was almost like...
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's an odd detail, but to be like, okay, this is another Christian household that birthed a whole load of evil. I'm like, that's weird.
It's like, what are you trying to say?
Well, I mean, yes, I do think that is a reach. but especially because like Mrs. Christian was a very good Christian woman, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean
then-
the machine guy even says that, like, he wasn't abused or anything like that. He had a good household. This is just the way he is. It's not.
Yeah, he's not the Christian one, is he? He's the one listening to, as the scare was going around in the
Yeah.
the 90s about death metal or whatever.
But it's
Yeah.
very much showing that he's coming from a Christian household, and I'm just like, okay. I don't know if there's something there, but I just noticed that, and I just thought, okay. I've only seen 2 points. It's three points to make a line, but I did just find that a bit weird.
It showed the mum being charitable.
Yeah, I think it was just.
Yeah.
I think it was just a bit of good old fashioned 90s nihilism that was on display there. I don't think it was anything sort of anti-Christian in it. I think it was just I'm a rebel and I do it because I want to.
I'll leave that in there. I'll float that around, and maybe we can think about it. John Gorris's Fulci posting again. I see you, Fulci posting. Yeah, so we get to this, and we get into some very sort of Silence of the Lambs vibe, hunting through the house. I think someone mentioned earlier a really nice bit where there is sorry, I got distracted by chat there. There is some fantastic music playing that kind of sounded to me a lot like the Prodigy's Breathe. Did you pick that up? I don't know if it's a specific artist or they just made it for this film, but there's this sort of death techno. How would you describe the music playing at the Machine's house?
Yeah, it was
heavy. Well, it was death metal before, I think I called it, but that's probably not accurate. I need to listen to it again. Really, it's kind of hard to remember.
Odd stuff. But I also found it kind of weird to think that song was on an LP. But I'm sure they did make LPs of that stuff. But it was interesting. But yes, the section where that song is played out, industrial, yeah. I mean, it sounded a lot angrier than like VNV Nation. Like more in the line of like Suicide Commando, but even angrier than that. We do like a bit of Suicide Commando on this channel. Oh, it's actually named. Oh, right, okay.
Apparently that song plays twice in the film as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, the first time it's played is the theme song to a hardcore porn flick, and the second time it is actually played as the background music to this film upon Nicolas Cage's entering of the bad guy's house.
There we go. Okay, cool.
It's also the music video for Come to Daddy is being played on a small TV in Dino Velvet's office.
Oh,
And I like that song.
There you go.
Nice. Yeah, the bit where that has played out and then the record is just skipping. I thought that was beautifully creepy. A nice sort of what's the phrase? Diegetic. All the sound there is diegetic. It is coming just from elements that are seen in the scene itself.
Right.
So very, very effective, I thought. Leaning into the horror tropes in a very justified way. I was very tense during that bit. How are you guys?
Yes. I mean, I think we're talking about this whole kind of final scene. Yeah, I guess it would. I feel he did a bit of a disappearing act to Machine, where he's got the music playing, it suddenly goes off, he investigates the whole room, comes out, it starts playing, goes back in, and then he comes out the door that he just went through when he checks it.
I was wondering about the logic of that, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know where he went.
I couldn't figure that out.
There we go. It's also weird that, why does he live next to a graveyard?
Well,
with no church nearby that I can see.
Maybe they just wanted quiet neighbours.
Maybe. I mean, it's not like houses don't exist next to graveyards, but I did find it a bit weird that the front door led out to it. That might have been the side door, I guess.
you
That
say
was
that.
just some excellent location scouting. You know, they didn't have to build that. That was just a place they found, and we're like, yes, we have to use this.
Yeah.
I guess it's. I don't know. It's not that weird. I just thought it was like, oh, wow, they're in a graveyard now, really. So that's strange. I mean, I believe it's a real house, but my God, that's strange. Yeah, the knife fight was a bit weird as well. They just kept taking knives out and stabbing each other with them until they finally got the gun. And even then, it's like, oh, I'm going to take the knife out and ninja throw it at you. And it worked. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, there was another bit of a dodgy, like, did you get Scream 5 flashbacks at some... I've got a gun on you, but somehow the person lying down is going to get the stab in.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that was... Yeah, it's kind of... I kind of like the chats they were having, but...
So I'll say, see you next week, Mima. Good seeing you.
Yeah.
Say hi to Doggos for us.
Send the best to your mum as well.
Yes. Oh, absolutely, yes.
This film really underestimates how like deadly a knife wound is.
True. I mean,
so-
I liked him getting to the hospital at the end and staggering out the car, but like,
Yeah.
do you want to just... It's interesting, like, this is about the third time. No, it is the third time in the movie where you get the, you know, the horrific bad guy who makes the snuff just basically giving a really nihilistic explanation.
Because I do it because I like it. I had a normal upbringing. I'm just really screwed up. Yeah, I kind of like it. It's kind of like the film's basically saying evil can lurk anywhere, especially, and it can be encouraged if you're in the wrong place, as it does with Tom Wells. Because then, obviously he goes back to his family, who I don't really know why they're in the film, apart from him to have a breakdown at the end. Really, they don't add anything.
No, they don't. But I like that dose of normality and the kind of thing that his involvement in this really filthy world kind of leaks out to them a bit and affects them. I really like that he was shown needing to come back to something real and wholesome as a counterpoint, because like I'd compare this to Seven. Have you guys seen Seven?
I've got it on DVD. I haven't seen it still.
Okay, don't worry. So it's very, very much like this in vibe. It is the same writer, Andrew Kevin Walker. It was directed by David Fincher. It came out 2 years before in 1997. And like, there is... Brad Pitt has a wholesome wife played by Gwyneth Paltrow, and it's like, but the rest of the world is completely grimdark, but his one bit of wholesomeness seems very out of place compared to everything else. Whereas in this one, I think it's a lot more integrated, and it feels like it remedies the just like relentless seediness and evil that the rest of the film is soaked in. So it feels like a sensible decision.
I mean, that's right. They're just a plot device, but that's fine. They don't particularly need character development or anything like that. They're just his family. They're there to be a threat, be there for something for the bad guys to threaten, and to be there so he has something to go back to at the end. He has a normal life, and I guess they're there also to imply at the beginning. It's he's lying about smoking. It's like, oh, he has to pile on the lies, keep going until eventually, they're threatening to be killed. So he has to panic and move them. It's all right.
Maybe let's throw something out here. Andrew Kevin Walker the original writer, was really unhappy that Machine takes off his mask and shows his face and talks. Would you have preferred if we never saw his face?
Probably, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I'd have it that he never talks, but because he just takes off when he's asked, doesn't he? But he doesn't at the first bit, and I don't know why he would here, because he knows he's going to get killed either way. So if you're not going to have him talk, maybe just spit at him instead. And Because Nick Cage doesn't really. He's not expecting a monster, is he? But I don't really know why he cares what his identity is at this point.
Well, that's the thing. I think he was expecting a monster.
Yeah.
I think he absolutely was, because who would be that deranged and sick enough to do the things that he was witnessing on video?
There's kind of like a thing where you would almost expect him to be like deformed.
Yeah.
Like have some horrible physiognomy, have some horrible scars. Like this is a thing that is a complex matter in horror.
Yeah.
But he's just a regular, normal-looking guy. There's a line in Seven that is really interesting. I will not spoil the film for you, TCG. But it's when they are looking for this very savage serial killer. And I think it's Morgan Freeman gets a line like, do you realize if we find this guy, even if he is literally Satan himself, he might just live up to our expectations? Like it's priming you for the fact that actually the atrocity is going to be done by someone very normal. And Chris Bauer here is just a very normal looking guy.
Yeah.
Almost harmless looking, really.
Fez has got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you win either way, to be honest. I think there's a real benefit from showing him looking like this, just being a banal, regular guy. And it's kind of ties into something you said earlier, Haryan. The fact that the potential for evil is basically in all of us. Oh, yes, we have moved on. I swear we have moved on. We've just come back to it. You're stuck in a Sobotka cycle. Don't worry. Every time you come on, you summon Frank. There's I think there's something great in that in terms of like real horror is the idea that actually the average person has this potential to be evil, and it's within all of us, and we have to be on the lookout for it. But I could also see the benefit of just never revealing the face and keeping everyone hungry.
Yeah, keep it a mystery. He goes through his room and sees a load of, industrial metal or whatever the genre is called. You don't see much else. I mean, keep it a mystery as to why he did it. I also like that it's like, why did I do it? Oh, because I could and I liked it. But I'm a normal guy just like you. This is where the slippery slope can get you.
Yeah, I love the rejection. I said it already, but I just love the rejection of like the therapy mindset. How can I say? Do you remember when I did that reply to The Closer Look? And he had this thing about American History X and propaganda. And I was just framing it here like, it's really not much better or more sophisticated to say, switch the narrative from, what's his name? Derek Vinyard. Derek Vinyard, the neo-mid-century German, is wrong and just an evil, evil, evil bad person to, he's wrong and he just needs therapy, guys. It's like, you've just kind of shifted the needle to the current mindset of therapizing. Like, I think you'd have a very different explanation if you remade it now. They'd say, he's just been shaped by systemic influences.
Yeah.
But you're still not any closer to actually exploring a controversial matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where it's kind of everything now has to be, this guy just needs therapy and it'll be all okay. It's a weird thing in California. Everyone seems to have a therapist and they think that's normal.
Yeah, they seem shocked when you say you don't have a therapist, and they're like, "Well, you've like totally gotta get a therapist. My therapist is so good."
Yeah, well, there was like a comedian some California comedian who's like, I really hate my friend who says running's his therapy. So, I pay my therapist to help me get better. How does running help? And it's like, no,
Oh.
running helps, dude. Maybe you just need that. It's like,
yeah.
Based
now I
on the-
think about it. But yeah.
Okay, so we come to the end. We have our nihilism. You know, you do have to kill off the source of evil, but I absolutely love that Nick Cage, Tom Wells, goes back to his family, and he is damaged by this experience. He comes back and he's weeping. I love this. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's like, can you actually have a normal life after this? And then even when he gets the letter from the mum, even then he like looks ahead and basically just said, "Oh, thank you for killing them." And then he's like, "Should I have done that though? Don't know."
Yes, based.
Yeah.
Clear them out. Got to clear them out too. Anyway. Yeah, again, this is something we said that Andrew Kevin Walker really objected to, but
how would you object to this? I don't get this bit. I get the mask, but
I think Andrew Kevin Walker, from what I understand, having read a couple of the interviews, is his problem is that this grants some kind of absolution and, quote, lets the audience off the hook. But I'm like, this isn't like a funny games scenario. Like, I don't think the audience is complicit in this at all. Like, we saw people who made snuff material and we disapproved of it. And we wanted them to get the woodchopper. Like, where's the problem here, my dude? Am I oversimplifying it?
Well, I think he wants it more of a keep it ambiguous how people felt. That seems to be the film he was going for. But I don't.
Yeah.
I think if you're gonna do that, it needs to be something that's a bit more morally grey than just straight up murder of innocent women.
Yeah. Do you guys spot the continuity error in this screenshot, by the way?
No.
Oh.
You sure?
Yes.
Oh,
Would
no.
you like me to tell you?
I've not looked very hard, so yeah, please just.
Okay. So on the missing persons card, Mary Ann Matthews is spelled with an E in Anne. It's also spelled that way in the credits. However, on the thank you card, there's no E.
Imagine not being able to spell your own daughter's name.
I know.
What a terrible mother. She never actually cared.
Disgraceful.
Looks like it was just Tom after all along that cared about Mary Ann with an E. There you go.
Unbelievable.
But no, I'm with Harry on this. I don't mind this. I don't mind this ending. I think it's quite nice that is it Janet, her name?
Yeah, Janet
gets the closure that she needs, and that she does sort of accept what Tom did, albeit the manner in which he sort of revealed what happened to Mary Ann was a bit harsh.
It was a bit harsh. 2 a.m. Here's some big info drop. Oof.
Here we go. Yeah, she understands why he done it, and you know she's thankful for getting those people out of the world. Because it wasn't really made that clear at the time, was it? You know, I don't have a problem with it.
I was going to say my problem is I don't feel that Nick Cage had to cross too big a line here. You know, I don't think he. Maybe I'm a bit too old school in my morality, but like, did he do anything wrong here?
No, he didn't do anything wrong. Nicolas Cage did nothing wrong in what he did after the truth was revealed. However,
apart from vigilantism, grotesque murder.
You're the one who was saying Batman was amazing, Harry. Don't.
Batman doesn't kill anyone.
Oh, shut up! Don't give me that. Don't give me that. Batman's killed plenty of people, and it's all canon as well.
It depends on which one you're going off. And Batman generally doesn't kill.
Okay, Batman. Genuinely doesn't kill. Genuinely
Neither
doesn't
does
kill.
Nick Cage.
All right.
You know, Nicholas.
True.
Tom. Yeah, this character genuinely doesn't kill. But
in the new
but-
one, he doesn't even. It's not even a moral question. He doesn't even get close to killing anyone.
well, there you go then. You know, but as far as oh, thank you. Right. I think he's only like a year or two into his adventures as the Cape Crusader at that point. Yeah, there you go then. So you know he's still got a long way to go.
We should probably not derail on Batman, but yes.
Why not? Why not? We're talking about vigilante justice. But no,
If you keep annoying me, I'm going to spoil it.
shut up, you. The shaking hands and the breakdown after getting to safety are fully relatable.
I
Yeah.
liked this touch. I liked it a lot. This was good. So I can sort of see Andrew Kevin Walker's point, but I don't know. I don't think we got into like for me to feel like this had gone into that kind of awkward thing where he'd looked into the abyss and the abyss had looked into him, and like I would need him to be a bit more morally corrupted. So like something where he does, I don't know, have to hurt people who aren't that instrumental to the making of the snuff film, like hurt a middleman, something like that. Yeah. So for me, he didn't really have that moral corruption that would justify the Andrew Kevin Walker take, but maybe that's just me.
I still think pistol whipping someone and then burning them while they're half alive. Like, just go to the
Epic.
police. For the police, you know.
I still think it was justified, and I don't think he did anything wrong.
Susan's gonna love this stream, isn't she?
She's gonna love it. It's all right. Don't worry. Elon Musk will be our owner, our overlord in no time.
Oh, excellent, excellent. I can end on one thing that really freaked me out of this. It's the first bit of trivia that you can read about this on IMDb. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to get her up so this will make sense. And this is about the actress who plays Mary Ann Matthews, who is, of course, the focus point of the whole film. This actress here. Oh, man. Okay, this is going to be dark, guys. So she is actually played by someone called Jenny Powell, who was just a stripper.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the trivia, Joel Schumacher gave her the part of the victim on the 8mm film, as she had a suitably haunted look about her. Method acting, my dude. I mean, Joel Schumacher, I mean, that's pretty dark, my friend. That is pretty dark.
Nice. Oof. That is a big oof.
It's a very big oof, I've got to say. Oh, dear. Yeah. And that they talk about like this bit where, when you see this actual film, they don't keep you waiting too long. You see it about 14 minutes into the film. And she's got this sullen look about her. And then later, James Gandolfini talks about how they gave her a few pills before the film that kind of explains her look.
Yeah.
Oof. But yeah, haunted is a good description.
Definitely.
So I think we should probably round off now and keep Super Nanny sweet. Let's go for scores and final thoughts. And I'm afraid I didn't do a prediction this week. My apologies.
Wow.
Oh my god! I just realised you haven't done that.
Shocking stuff. Yep. I didn't manage it. I mean, I would. If I say it now, I would like. Oh, you know what? I don't think you would like randomly change your score just to make my prediction look silly. But I don't think you went above like a 7 out of 12 for this one. Like, I think you'll have respected the craft and the storytelling, but it probably didn't necessarily work for you.
Too many tisms.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
let's hear those closing thoughts. I mean, Haryan, would
Yeah.
you like to go first? And
Yeah.
drop your scores in here as well. That'd be lovely.
I mean, I do like my detective films. Motivations all seemed pretty on point for me. As mentioned with the Tisms, he looked randomly in the back of a toilet, and it was just so weird. It's the acting that threw me. It's like he went straight there. It's like, yes, there will definitely be something in this cistern. I'm like, will there? Oh, there is. And it's the writers seem to put themselves in a corner, and they're like, oh, I know we can have a coincidence here. Like, oh, look, you see his pentagram on his finger that he forgot about. Let's remind him of that. Which gets Joaquin to go, oh yeah, I know that guy. It's like, yeah, that kind of works. But there's also good, I like the scenes where he's doing all his investigative work, good investigative work, asking questions, and he does the thing I like where they lie about their identity and say, oh, I'm Lieutenant whatever, or I'm with Agent Cole, tell me stuff. So I liked all that. CD Underground stuff works for me. I found it believable at the best, but action scenes, I say, were hit and miss as well. It's a very kind of middle of the road film. I think the characters carry it more than the plot. Plot's pretty simple, but that's fine. But yeah, the characters are all very interesting. All have their own thing going on, and I like as well Joaquin's thing, like, oh, I was in a band and all that, and he's like, oh, I've just ended up here because there's nothing else I could do, and that seemed to be a problem a lot of people in this film had, apart from obviously Miss Christiansen. So pretty good with elitism. So I guess probably a 6 out of 12 burgers with some cheese for Nick Cage, because I just can't take his acting seriously, and it's a bit of a shame because he's actually pretty good in this, but just it's like, it's a scene we missed, but when he's stalking not Tony Soprano, and he gets caught by a security guard outside, he just kind of looks and doesn't react. He's like a mannequin, just looks and then runs.
I love that scene. He boots him into the empty.
Then when he puts him in the pool,
yeah,
but
that was great.
He doesn't look phased by it or anything. He's not like panting. He's not like, he's got no emotion on his face, is the best way I can put it. And it's just like, oh, this is so Nick Cage.
A bit of that Nick Cage energy breaks out. So yeah 6 out of 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I can't argue that. I can't argue that at all. How about you, TCG?
Yeah, I like this film. Like Haryan said, there's a couple of tismy bits in there, and there's some bits that didn't make sense. The one that stands out for me was Tony Soprano trying to grab the gun from the other side of the car when he could have easily just sort of rolled around to the other side. But yeah, this film surprised me because obviously, what we do here is we cover horror films, and I wouldn't really call this film a horror movie per se, but it does invoke a lot of the emotions that a horror film would in particular discuss, and that was what I got a lot of this film, especially with the sort of just the small but subtle hints to some of, like you said, like the more juvenile goings on. Just those images that this film puts in your head is just, in those moments I just wanted to stop watching the film, and funny enough, I don't get a lot of that from horror. So in terms of repulsion, repulsiveness, that really worked for me. Practical effects, not really that much to speak of. I was disappointed, like you said, that there was no effect for the Joaquin Phoenix death scene. I thought I was just imagining that, but the fact that you pointed that out as well, it's just a missed opportunity there. Although I can understand if it was for editing reasons to get some of the other bits out in the film. Nicolas Cage is just Nicolas Cage. You can't really comment on that. I mean, the guy is a living meme.
God, I want to watch The Rock.
But it's a great cast. I was well pleased to see Norman Reedus in it for a little bit. He didn't die, so there were no riots, so that's always a positive. But yeah, I mean, I would give this, there's only really one score you can give it, isn't there? It's got to be an 8.
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
throwing some cheese as well for Nicolas Cage. But I'm gonna have to hold back the tomato sauce because not enough blood.
yeah, chat is largely in agreement here. We're seeing lots around the 8s. Yeah. Yeah, I can go with that. So lots to agree with there. I think what we see is this is a really strong premise. In terms of horror, it mostly deals with dread and discomfort. When we come to do funny games, you'll get the same feeling, you know. Not the classic horror trope, but just
Yes.
you just feel horribly uneasy the whole time. And it does hint at some very disgusting, dark stuff that just makes my stomach absolutely crawl. In terms of directing, we've got a mix of some really beautiful artistic shots, like this one here, I think is so well done. The footage is made to look so authentic and disturbing. I love it. And then we do also get a lot of bland framing. Like I felt the scene where the confrontation with James Gandolfini at the end, I thought that was framed in a really flat way. So mixed bag on the directing and the action, as we've talked about. Some of the action is a bit sloppy, even though it had great potential. But overall, I like that this was going to a dark place. It's not something I necessarily recommend because, like a Serbian film, this is going into very dark matter that is... It's not the kind of enjoyable fluff of a Friday the 13th movie. It is just... It's a dark film, you know, and it's not going to be to everyone's taste. But the cast is amazing. I think we've got Nick Cage letting a little bit of his chaotic energy out, but not too much. He doesn't make it a meme. And you're just absolutely spoiled with the rest of the cast. So kind of a mixed bag. I would say I come out probably a bit more generous to this than everyone else. I'd probably go for a 9. As I think I've got a bit more tolerance for this stuff.
Okay.
But it's not something I'm going to recommend to most people. If they watch Seven and they enjoy that, I'm just saying that because I've seen years reference Seven there. It's a good idea. Like it's up there with sort of Seven, Mute Witness, Changeling, things like that. Really dark territory that a certain type of person is going to like, but I wouldn't inflict this on most people. So yeah, 9 out of 12 for me. Obligatory cheese for Cage. Small amount of ketchup. I would have liked more. Definitely my ketchup was missing from some scenes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll leave that there. There was a bit of excitement about this, which I was glad to see. I do appreciate that people saw this. We are heading into... I should actually get up a different image here for this because I can show the rest of our arc.
Can I just say while you're doing that,
go ahead. Thank you.
The comparison to Funny Games was quite an interesting one because that's another film that for me personally, I had a lot of difficulty watching.
Yeah. That is not fun, is it?
No. I feel like suing them for false advertising, to be quite frank.
Yeah. Like that and what else from Haneke? Cachet.
I'm not saying that.
I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, some good horrific moments, but it's not a fun watch. I've basically decided I am okay with not seeing any more Michelle Haneke. But yes, years has prompted us. We can stay on the right side of Super Nanny. We're going to be fine. Okay, let's do this, guys. Your horror homework, as you all know, because we announced it already, is going to be broadcast signal intrusion. I know that someone said they'd seen it and they were not impressed. So I'm going to have my fingers crossed. I really like the trailer. I think it's got potential. So watch broadcast signal intrusion wherever you can find it. and we'll talk about it next week. Now, as for my fantastic guests, how are you doing, folks? And would you like to start shilling? I know TCG, you got something very disturbing out.
Yeah, talking about disturbing stuff. I'm gonna put a song in the chat. Hi, I'm Chucky. Want to play by 150 volts. Now, I dropped a new video last Friday. Suzanne Kappa is my second an unimaginable ordeal video. The first one being the Kellyanne Bates one. So Suzanne Kappa's the second. Not for the faint-hearted. But if you really want to take the disturbedness to, if that's even a word, to another level, what I suggest you do is you play that song on your headphones before watching my video. And the reason why is because one of the things that this poor girl went through was while she was held captive, they put headphones on her and they played that song on a loop, max volume. For days of psychological abuse, and that's just one of the things, but definitely check it out if you are into true crime and have 25 minutes and 25 seconds to spare.
Very grim stuff, but well put together, well produced, and it's great to see the videos coming out again. All right, Haryan, how about yourself, sir?
Yeah, I'm a bit more white pilling with my content.
Oh, thank goodness one of us is. My goodness.
Yeah, though some people do probably deserve a wood chipper with my latest video. So that was going to be a stage show in the UK in Bristol, believe it or not, called the Family Sex Show. And it got and a big petition got signed to get it cancelled. And it's one of those few things that I think should be cancelled, or at the very least shouldn't be offered to people under the age of 18, because this Family Sex Show is exactly what it sounds like. It was supposed to be an educational 1-hour show for families to talk about relationships, sexuality, and sex. And not to spoil too much, and I'm not going to go through everything, but at one point the actors take off as many clothes as they feel comfortable with, and some of them apparently do get completely naked. And it's like 5-year-olds are there, and it's like, this is good for 5-year-olds, and there's also worse things in this that I'm not going to spoil, because I want you to go over to my channel and watch that video. So it's about that being gotten rid of, and it sounds like some people need to be investigated, really. Like, how will this seem like a good idea for to be advertised to 5-year-olds, I don't know. But yeah, luckily it's not being shown anymore. Whether they'll manage to make a comeback for over 18s only, I don't know. But yes, it's very well. Rory Herbert signed the petition. Very good.
Well done, sir. You've done your duty. Service guarantees citizenship.
It was actually, for a bit of deep lore, it's actually someone from the Wellington Project who initially tipped the police off to this show that was going to air. So he pulled a few strings, and that's another reason why it's being pulled. So
nice, good.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, I'm not being funny, but if you do that sort of stuff in the street, you'd get nicked for it. So why is it all right to do in a theatre? Like, that's disgusting.
Yep.
I don't know. Well, especially in front of 5-year-olds.
Especially because of that.
Total wood chipper territory. Yeah, I will watch that video, and it's great to have a bit of a white pill. That is fantastic.
Yeah. So if you need cheering up after my video, go watch Haryan's.
Yes, that is the order to watch them in. Okay, that is the order to watch them in. And then if you want an extra white pill, I actually got a sneaky video out. I dropped it. Yeah, I dropped one on overthinking the Scream ending song. It's a short video for me. It's 9 minutes, and I'm dropping a more substantial video on Thursday. That is going to be the long-delayed, long-awaited Clive Barker homoerotic horror video.
Oh, for God's sake.
You love it. So I'm dropping that on Thursday. I've been very busy with filming. There's substantial stuff coming out. But so we stay on the right side of Super Nanny, I am going to start signing off now. I'm going to give a massive thanks to you guys in chat. You've kept it nice and lively, and also respectably and appropriately filthy for this film. And of course, to the fantastic guests TCG and Haryan. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah,
been a pleasure.
All right.
Oh my god, you've got 30 seconds. Oh my god, I
We
can hear
can
her
do
coming
it.
up the stairs.
Signing off now, folks, before Super Nanny gets here.
Why
Thanks,
she
y'all.
got a camcorder?
Choose-
Knives! Oh my god!
Oh no!